And yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on, heading into a weekend of sports once again. Week number 9 in the NFL is upon us. The game starting this Thursday, the first game of week number 9 in the NFL. We have the Baltimore Ravens going down to Hard Rock Stadium, and they're taking on the Miami Dolphins, who put up a surprising win last week in terms of the way they played. Based on the way they played all year long, wasn't looking so good. Was good.
What's happening? Man, I don't know where I got this from, but I thought the Chiefs and Bills were playing tonight. You talk about being disappointed. My coworker says, "Who's playing tonight?" I said, "Chiefs and Bills." He's like, "Are there 2 games?" I said, "No, usually Monday night they have 2 games." He's like, "Well, I've seen the Ravens and Dolphins are playing." I'm like, "What?" Man, you talk again, disappointing.
Looking forward to it to get this.
I mean, I know my son's a Ravens fan and Lamar Jackson's coming back, but still, the Ravens are 2-5. The Dolphins probably played their best game, but have they turned the corner? I don't know. But whatever happens tonight, it ain't going to be as good as the Chiefs and Bills.
Oh, absolutely not. That would have been one of those precursors to the playoffs, even though the playoffs are still weeks and weeks away. But this game, I think if it's the same Dolphins team that showed up against Atlanta in Atlanta, I mean, I've watched that Atlanta team, and Kirk Cousins did play. Michael Penix didn't play in the game. They locked down Bijan Robinson just after I said, you know what, I'm definitely wrong. And I still believe I was wrong about how good I thought he was coming out of college. He was okay. He's okay. He's just another running back that devalued for a reason. He's one of those devalued running backs. He comes in there in his second year, especially. He looks damn good. I mean, he looks doggone good. Actually, third year now.
Right. Go ahead.
But I'm saying, the Miami Dolphins team was able to bottle them up. I don't know what the incentive was. Tua looked better. The defense was swarming. And that Atlanta team was one of those teams that was playing well, too. And I thought this would be another game in which they were playing well because, Michael Penix was out, but they've been playing well with Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix, and then this and Drake, the kid Drake, what's his name, the receiver. And I was surprised by how well he was playing, out of USC. So in any event, Miami playing tonight is it a continuation being at home? Now that they're back home, they were on the road last week against this Baltimore Ravens team, which is bringing Lamar Jackson back. But it's always that coming back with the rust on and all that kind of thing that has to do with it.
Right. So we'll find out if the Dolphins actually turn the corner and if they start to playing better, if last week was just an aberration. I mean, last week was a weird week anyway. You got the Ravens going to Chicago with no Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley lining up at quarterback, and he gets his second victory against the Bears. Caleb Williams looks like trash. But you got Chase Daniels with his breakdown video saying, look, no one's open. Look at this play. No one's open. Look at this play. No one's open. Dude, he was 4 for 15 at one point in the freaking game. And then how about the plays where the guys were open and he missed them? DJ Moore running all by himself in the end zone because there's either a breakdown in coverage or the cornerback fell down. Regardless, running all alone, and he missed them by 3 yards.
Well, I heard a story just recently about DJ Moore. Today, they were talking about with trades coming up that he might be one of these teams, players that they might want to send him to another team trade-wise because he feels disenfranchised. They're saying that this is Pro Football Talk pretty much saying it, that he's been feeling disenfranchised, that he's not the player. He don't believe he's the player for the team that they wanted him to be when he first came. So why don't he just move on? And the team they thought he should go to would be the New Orleans Saints. And now that the New Orleans Saints are making their move at quarterback, Spencer Rattler's out. Tyson Shaw is in. Tyler Shaw is in from Louisville's second-round draft pick. Came, just the third quarterback taken. We had 2 first-rounders, and then him, Jackson Dart, and Cam Ward, and then now you had him in the second round. And I watched him at Louisville. I remember when he played against Miami, and it kind of surprised me of how good he was. But then that Miami secondary was so bad. But he showed some throws that he was making that I was like, the NFL likes those kind of throws. Now, taking him in the second round, I didn't think that would happen. But based on what was out there and the premium on quarterbacks, I could see it. So he's going to be starting now, his first start of the year. And he's already said himself, I'm going to let it rip. I'm going to make mistakes, so I might as well make my mistakes and just learn from those, and it'll be fun doing it. So we'll find out.
Well, DJ Moore came out and said he's happy here. He wants to be a Bear. He doesn't know where all this talk is coming from. He's not looking to get out. But I can understand if he's frustrated. You know, in Carolina, he put up good numbers.
Yeah.
He's not getting consistent targets. You know, he should get probably 6 to 8 catches every week, and that's just not happening. So I can understand if he's frustrated.
Now, what is it, that attitude thing? What was that incident that happened in Carolina with him that kind of got him traded? I think he didn't want to go in the game or whatever it might have been. Or he argued with a coach, whatever it was, but he ended up in Chicago afterwards, and people looking at him as a cancer. He's not some type of guy you don't want to have in your team, so they make the move. Because I was like, damn, when you making a move for him, he's damn good. But
this might sound crazy, but he had more targets and catches with Justin Fields than he's been having with Caleb Williams.
Yeah. Well, with those numbers he was putting up, he had those, because when he came, he did get those big numbers last season.
Mm-hmm. 2 years ago.
I was 2 years ago. I wasn't surprised because he's pretty good. I mean, he's a damn pretty good. He showed that Carolina just played on a bad team, and now he's with Chicago. And anyone who had any type of talent as a quarterback finds him, he's going to make the play. He can make big plays. Now you're talking about him out there about to call a fair catch and still not getting the ball. That's another problem. I can see why he's pissed. If he had an attitude in Carolina, he's going to have an attitude here if he's open and he's not getting the ball. And looking at that Bears offense, the quarterback hasn't been, the main guy in that offense like I thought he would be in his second year.
Well, to make things worse, and I don't know how true it is, but I saw a report that Ryan Poles was trashing Drake May during their film study before the draft.
You showed me that. I was like, bro.
And I mean, I tend to believe it because he said he's going to do his due diligence. And the only quarterback pro day he went to was Caleb Williams. He didn't go see Jaden Daniels. He didn't go see Drake May. He didn't go see Bo Nix. He didn't go see nobody else but Caleb Williams. So that dude didn't do his homework.
Nah.
So that's just frustrating, man. Because Drake May came in and punked him, So if you're trashing a dude who's playing really well, and someone said in one of the comments said Ryan Poles attributed a quote to him. Now look at Caleb Williams' fingernails. Now that's a quarterback.
Yeah, that's a model. Hell with it, a model citizen. But yeah, man,
that was a good joke, man. But the Bears, unfortunately, they are becoming more of a joke than they have been.
But the number one pick overall, a lot of times when you do have that generational player there, you do have people who've done that. Because I remember when Jamarcus Russell, number one overall pick, the Raiders wasn't looking at anybody else. They knew who they wanted. Now, I thought there were other quarterbacks out there they could have looked at, and Jaden Daniels was one of the quarterbacks we thought someone they could have also given some consideration to. If he just unequivocally said Caleb Williams and that's it, and you had those other options out there because quite a few quarterbacks win. And now you see what's going on now. You got to be banging.
It seems that way. It seems that way. And I know it wasn't the number one pick, but when Ricky Williams and Adrian James were in the same draft, everybody thought Ricky Williams was going to the Colts. And they drafted Adrian James. And so they had to answer for that. But I think they made the right draft looking back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So now we see Drake May. And Drake May.
You got to make tough decisions, man.
You do have to. Some decisions really check. Would this decision have been as tough if he wasn't so emotionally invested, it seemed, with Caleb Williams, and he did look at some other video? Was his mind going to change? If he just left that emotional part out, watch the video and do your due diligence as you're supposed to, and not just take it for granted that this guy's been talked about at the number one pick overall. So we're just going to make him the number one pick overall, just no matter what. If he would have seen some of the videos, you would think throughout the year, you're not just looking at a video at the end of the season. You're watching these players from the time they play. And when they start getting hot, then you start looking at more video. It's just that you watch a whole lot more video after the season they've played. And if it's someone you're considering, you really get down on it.
Well, what season was he watching of Caleb Williams? Was he watching his senior season or the senior
Oklahoma,
or the
USC.
season he won the Heisman, because his follow-up season to the Heisman, he didn't play as well as he did
Oh
the
no, he
prior
didn't.
year. So if you're looking just on film, you can't tell me he looked better than Jaden Daniels. There's no
Yeah,
way.
and that there's
That's
no
why
lie.
you go to the pro days.
That's what you're supposed to do. But Jaden Daniels, I tell you, I thought Garrett Nussmeier was going to take him out sometime during the season. I was like, yo, he's going to be replaced anyway. You know what? Eat some crow if you're going to eat crow. If you're going to be wrong in a big way. That's as big as it gets. Jaden Daniels ends up winning the Heisman Trophy. But going with Drake May, you know, he actually didn't play better in his most recent season than he did the season before when he was at North Carolina, when he really put it up there. But then he still made plays, though. If you watched him enough, you still saw him make those plays that they say the coaches like, or the throws the coaches like. He still was doing those things. I don't think he had the same quality of team his second year. And he's still able to run the ball. And he's a big dude. He wants to run. I was going to call him a poor man's Allen, Josh Allen. Bro, he's not a poor man's Josh Allen. He's just Drake May. He could do a lot of what Josh Allen does.
So back in '84, when they had that quarterback class with Marino and those guys, nobody said the Dolphins shouldn't have drafted Marino. Right now, out of the guys picked in the first round, Caleb Williams is the worst of the bunch.
He is. Dan Marino, the reason why he even dropped in that draft was because of the off-the-field nonsense. He had the drinking and the partying. He had that reputation. So back then, they were a lot more stern about character back then. So he fell only because of that. As far as talent goes, there was a litany of those guys that were just great players. You know, John Elway leading the way. But, you know, Davis was good. But I think that, I know that he was that good. Dan Marino, talent-wise, certainly that good. It was the off-the-field nonsense. Now, in today's NFL, they don't even care too much. I mean, even up until when Randy Moss came out, his talent dropped all the way down to Minnesota when Jerry Jones said, all but I'm taking Randy Moss, and didn't do it. And that's why he got his ass back when he had that chance.
Yeah, a bunch of dudes have fallen. Warren Sapp,
that was a drug deal with him. Not drug dealing, but that was him with the drug situation. I remember him dropping, damn. You look at, but these dudes turn out to be exactly what you thought. You're getting the bargain when you finally get him. So Tampa Bay got the bargain that they needed to get him. And you put him, a Miami guy, you put him with Derek Brooks, a Florida State guy, you bring in another Florida State guy with Warren Dunn, get ready to roll. They did. And they got themselves to a Super Bowl, locked it down. So they built the foundation of a team. But now, what other
getting back to the Ravens right quick. You know, my son's a Ravens fan, and he's like, I don't know what I want them to do. I don't know if I want them to go for it, try and make the playoffs still, or tank. I said, yeah, it's a tough decision, man, because if they go for it, and let's say they end up, 11-6, and maybe a wild card team, maybe not a wild card team, and then, you know, this is basically a wasted season. Whereas if you tank, you get a top 10 pick, a lineman to help block for Lamar, or a weapon, or a defensive difference maker, something to make that team stronger. So I don't know. But, you know, asking Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, to tank, that's a tough one right there.
The deal is, that's one thing I learned about the tanking thing when it comes to fans. They look at it as a real thing where players don't. Because if you so-called tank the way fans think that you're going to tank, players will lose their jobs. And there are players who probably on the fringe, but they're good for this team. They'll be out of a job too. They don't want to lose the job. They still want to be on that team, even if they're just a part-time starter. They want to still be on the team. If someone else comes in, or if they lose, those dudes might not have a job, and they might not be good enough or not a good fit with another team. And I remember hearing that from players in the past. I'm like, damn, I've always thought about, they're taking for this player. No, it affects the entire team. Maybe not the top dudes that we know, but a lot of the players that are needed to move on as a team and try to do some things. And of course, if you had a bad season, John Harbaugh's in danger of being leaving. And now what? You got to start almost, and they'll give them, they can start from scratch now. They can start now getting rid of people. You'll just have Lamar, and Derrick Henry's not too long for the NFL anyway, being his style and his age. Mm-hmm. So you get rid of John Harbaugh, that means you kind of committed to rebuilding.
That's 100% true right there. And thing is, I asked my son, if you get rid of Harbaugh, who takes his place? That's the issue. Who's out there?
And it can't be just anybody.
he thinks Harbaugh is could damn, why can't I think of the word I want to say? When it comes to the playoffs, he's always getting out coached. And the thing about Sunday's game was he out coached Ben Johnson. You can see the Ravens made adjustments and the Bears couldn't deal with it. And he was so surprised, like, that's the first time I've seen him out coach anybody. So my son doesn't think he's a very good coach, but like, who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah, exactly. The only one I can think of that would make sense and they allow him back in the NFL is John Gruden. But John Gruden said, I don't know if he just said it because he thought college was the only thing that would be open for him. I want to coach in the SEC. You know, the big stadiums and the crowd, there's nothing like it. And now these jobs, especially LSU, opens up. John Gruden looks like he can slide in there because it looks like Florida really wants Lane Kiffin and they're angling towards him. So you have two jobs that are available, LSU and Florida. And right now, I think they're parallel. In fact, LSU might be the better job based on what Florida's done in the past couple of years, even though LSU has underachieved with Brian Kelly. And I don't think they could have done anything else with Brian Kelly. But in any event, you know, you get John Gruden in LSU, you get Lane Kiffin, and then now who's going to Ole Miss? You know, that's not one of those plum jobs, unfortunately. The SEC is just deep as hell, and that just happens to be one of them. Well, we can lock it up right now.
I was going to say, we're talking college now. This is NFL.
Yeah, right? So we got a chance to talk some college. We'll get a chance to do a little bit more of college football. The Sports Back Bros podcast will come back at you at another time, and we'll give you some more NFL after this weekend of NFL football. Until then,